Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Murder drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on the roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on the roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on the roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on the roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Frankie Campbell's live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, I am back from visiting my family, and it's like, did we go live on Friday? No, we did a market update on Friday. We didn't stream yesterday. I'm now back in the studio. And while we were gone, guys, if you watched the market update on Friday, Bitcoin pretty much just following along with exactly what we were looking at to play out here with a bounce up into our key resistance zone around $107,400 before getting the bigger rejection to the downside. The question is, guys, are we headed lower? Are we on our way to that $96,300 macro POC? We'll cover the actual key levels in a second, but are we going down to the $97,000 to $96,000 point of control? Are we going down to the value area low between 91 and 92K? What is coming next for Bitcoin? I'm going to cover everything with you guys on today's live stream. We'll talk about the rejection that we just saw, why we were looking for that rejection, some of the confirmations that we saw, and, of course, where we're expecting price to go next. But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. I just see Darren Does Things in here. Shout out to Darren Does Things. By the way, guys, show the mod some love in the chat. But he said, Krishamella, you're wild, bro. Shout out to Krishamella. We were talking about you the other day, bro. You crack us up. You are out of pocket in the chat. But we like it. We like it. We're a little out of pocket here in the Mafia. But let's see. We got Bitcoin Henry in the chat says, clap the like button cheeks. Shout out to Bitcoin Henry. Wow, whole chat is unhinged today. I love it. We got Help in the chat. We might need some help for Bitcoin here. Shout out to Help. We got Base Bailey in the chat. Mystic Ruin, what is going on? Smack down by that daily level. Let's go. We're going to cover that. And also talk about, are we going to see the continuation down, guys? Well, as you know, my longer-term bias here has been a bit more bearish with the high time frame money flow coming out, and it is continuing to the downside here, guys. But we got Bitfrog in the chat. We got Matt in the chat. Dark Crash, welcome in. Don't forget to drink your water, guys. Shout out to Dark Crash, keeping us hydrated here on the Frankie Campbell's YouTube channel. I want to take a sip of the Aztecian Cactus Black Coffee in the CandleMafia mug here, guys. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Let's see. Salud, Frankie. We got Perry in the chat. We got Neon Visual. Lucho, it's not Friday. There's no giveaways today. But shout out to Lucho. He used to win. He won the giveaways like once a week. Every single week he would win back in the day. But shout out to Lucho. Welcome in. We got Jesse in the chat. Show the mod some love, guys. But we got a lot to look at here on the chart. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so here we are with Bitcoin getting a pretty significant drop to the downside here, rejecting off of our value area low of the previous range, down about 4, almost 5% today. And if you guys watched Friday's market update, you will know, where were we on Friday? We were coming up here where we had this local volume profile that we were looking at. I'm just going to pull this From here, right, we were looking at this local volume profile. We got a little fake out to the upside in the premium Discord, letting the Mafia know this is never where I am going to be looking to enter a long position. I say it on the YouTube channel all the time. I am not looking along the breakouts, guys. I need to see some kind of a pullback in order to look for a higher low and then a higher high. And yesterday or Friday on the market update, obviously, I'm not long, and this is typically, guys, within the volume profiles, even if you are looking for a continuation up, this is not where I'm looking to take that long. If you're not in from the low, you are late to the move, and that doesn't mean that you can't continue up. But of course, it's going to be better to wait for that pullback, and we did have some of these key levels down here that we were looking at, I believe, in the market update, but we were looking at this in the premium Discord, where we had the point of control of the range. We also had an anchored VWAP sitting down here. I believe it was the anchored VWAP pulled from the absolute low. So we did have some confluence there. We also had some Fibonacci retracements in there. We did put in the higher low and the higher high. And guys, on that market update, why were we looking for a potential continuation up? Because in that update, as you know, we were talking about how things look a little better at that point for a bigger continuation into our major zone of resistance, which we are obviously rejecting almost to the exact dollar here. But one of the reasons why we were looking for a continuation up, you guys know, when I took my long position down here, I was not looking for this to be a massive move into this major key level. And the reason for that was we did not have any significant bullish divergences down here. I took this trade based off a swing failure pattern, and but we didn't have any divs, right? I like to see those bull divs at the low to indicate that we could get a bigger continuation to the upside. So we viewed that as a scalp, took profits along the way, stopped out in profit. But once we came down the second time here, as we looked at on Friday, what do we then have at this point, right? I'll even take this volume profile off the chart so you can see it a little more clearly. You can see we did end up putting in those bull divs on the 4-hour time frame for the lower lows on the price action, higher lows on our momentum waves, giving us that bullish divergence, in which case it was looking like now we have the bull divs. We didn't have it here. We view it as a scalp, and it does come back down as expected. Then we put in the 4-hour bull divs, and now we can look for that bigger continuation to the upside. On top of that, we did have the 80 and 90-minute money flow attempting to come to the upside, crossing into the green with a daily green dot, which does indicate the continuation of that longer-term trend into our major key level. So just absolutely beautiful here, identifying that we don't have the big confirmations down here, but we still make some money on that long position. But then once you come in and put in that 4-hour bull div, with the money flow coming up on the 80 and 90-minute with that daily green dot, we look for that bigger continuation into our big zone of resistance, that major target to the upside, sitting here between about 106,341, and technically this was leading up to about, it wasn't all the way up here. It was like $108,300, right? We have the golden pocket, the anchored VWAP, and our value area low of the macro range, where we had a short setup in the premium Discord, guys. And this was an absolute textbook setup, guys. We came up in here. We were looking for two very specific reversal signals, right, or entry triggers, which were going to be 30-minute bearish divergences with higher highs on our price action into that key level of resistance, lower highs on our momentum waves. As you can see, you have that bearish divergence, you push into the key levels, and you start to get that correction. Second confirmation there was also a 1-hour bear div, which we also, of course, wound up printing, and a beautiful drop to the downside. And I was letting the premium know, guys, I was visiting family, and my niece got baptized, so that was awesome. But I was telling them, guys, like, I'm probably going to be with my family. I'm not going to be on the chart, so if this sets up, I am probably not going to be there. And of course, it winds up setting up as I am driving home, and we get that drop to the downside. But still a beautiful, beautiful setup with every confirmation we were looking at, and it just goes to show, guys, waiting for those key levels does end up playing out or paying off, especially when you wait for those confirmations. I was even updating the Discord yesterday, letting them know, like, hey, we're hitting the level, guys, but we don't have any confirmations here, right? You don't want to look for that, and I was letting them know, hey, we want to see that next high to come in so we can get those confirmations. And sure enough, right, you might get a little bit emotional. Oh, my God, I'm missing the short. But sure enough, you come in, you put in the higher high, you put in the bear divs, and then, boom, you get the bigger drop to the downside. So now that we've seen that play out almost, not almost, like literally almost to the dollar on that value area low, the question becomes, are we going to continue our bigger trend to the upside for a bigger move up into about, say 108 to potentially 111 to 112K? Or are we just going to continue this downtrend, put in lower highs and lower lows? Are we going to break the lows? Are we going down to the macro POC at $96,633, or can we hold support here? Now, I'm going to pull up some of the higher time frames, guys. And obviously, within this resistance zone, not only did we have the Fibonacci retracement, the value area low, we also had our macro value area high, which is still, guys, the biggest level on the chart, right? As long as we stayed above this level, the doorway to all-time highs remains open. We cover this every day. We wind up seeing the all-time highs, but we have now broken down inside of this volume profile. This is not really what we wanted to see. In order for me to call for a bigger move up here, potentially to new all-time highs, guys, very simply, we need to get above that $108,000 value area high. We also have some bigger resistance above that. If we pull up our major range volume profile here, you have the value area low above you. You have Fibonacci retracements. You have the anchored VWAP pulled from the all-time high coming in here. So we have a lot of resistance to get above. Now, I would feel a lot better about continuing up here, and the reason why I do have a little bit more of a bias for more downside is because not only do you have to fight against all this resistance to get back up in here, it's still not really until we get above that $108,000 level. And honestly, more importantly, back inside this upper profile, above, call it $111,000. That is where you can start looking for a bigger push to the upside, but a lot of resistance on the way up there. And on top of that, guys, when we take a look at our money flow here on the higher time frames, such as the 2-day, this 2-day money flow is continuing into the red. I get a lot of questions. What about bullish news? What if the government shutdown ends, which obviously looks like it's going to be the case? This money flow is just always what I'm going to be listening to, right? And the reason I was interested in those shorts up here was just simply because of the money flow here on the higher time frames, indicating potential lower highs for potential lower lows. Again, targeting that POC next if we do continue down, and with many reasons, right? Like, if we want to see a massive bounce here, you are either hoping for a complete fake out on money flow, which is hard to bet against. And, again, you just still have all this resistance above you that you're going to have to fight. We could even come up in here and put in a lower high and continue down. So until this high time frame money flow starts to really shape back up. Now, we do have some higher time frame green dots looking to print. You do have the 3-day green dot looking to print. But look at your money flow, guys. Money flow always indicates the longer-term trend. This green dot could give us an ebb or flow to the upside. But again, you're pushing right into resistance with money flow coming out, indicating lower highs and lower lows. This is still my bias. That overall sentiment remains the same. And it's really, you're either waiting for the fake out on money flow, or you're just waiting for the push up, right? Like, I've been saying this ever since we started cracking below this level. If I want to see all-time highs, honestly, not even once we broke down below here, but, as soon as we see this money flow coming out, it's like, in order for me to look for new all-time highs, we just need to fake out. Like, I just need to see it. There's not a lot on the charts calling for a massive pump. Now, of course, that doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's really hard for me to bet against this money flow. And so I'm just going to keep viewing it through this lens, right? And of course, there's a reason we wait for those key levels of resistance for the drops to the downside. And I know this wasn't like the most massive move down ever, right? 4.7%, not too aggressive, but of course, right? Like, there's reasons. It's not always that when we come up to resistance that we're looking for pullbacks, right? Like, sometimes we're looking for a flip of support for a very high probability continuation to the upside. But in order to have that happen, you need money flow on your side, which we do not have right now. So the question is, are we going to continue lower? Money flow on the higher time frames would call for that, but it doesn't mean you can't get retracements to the upside or little lackluster bounces before continuing down. So obviously the question is, are we going lower? High time frame money flow points towards that, and we are approaching some local support here. Yo, shout out to Jesse. Welcome to the Muscle, brother. Thank you for getting that membership. Back in the Mafia here with the green name. Well, actually, his name isn't green. It's blue because he's a mod. But shout out to Jesse. Thank you for getting that, brother. Welcome back to the Muscle. But yeah, so the question is, are we going lower, right? Well, when we look at this locally, right, from a high time frame perspective at least, right, like, we really have a lot of work to do before I start feeling like really good, right? Even if we do continue up from here, and I'm going to cover the key levels that we're approaching right now, we do still have to be very careful around $108,000, and of course, we will have local levels in here for an aggressive lower high and lower low situation. So let's go ahead and dive down to those lower time frames. Also, guys, daily money flow now back in the red. This is like the choppiest I have seen daily money flow in a long time, and as you can see, right, it's like, you're in the red, you're in the green, you're in the red, green, red, right? So it's very hard to give like an overall direction on that. But as always, right, I'm just going to take the indicator at face value, which is, of course, money flow coming into the red, looking for those rejections. And we've seen that now play out. But if we come on down to the lower time frames, I'll hide the macro range, we'll hide the upper range, and I just want to pull up this local volume profile, very similar to what we looked at on Friday's market update, right? I've just kind of extended this a little bit to current price action. And right now, we are approaching our next confluent level of support, right? We've lost the value area high. We're pushing in towards that POC, where we also have some confluence. We have a daily horizontal, the golden pocket, the point of control of the range, We also have a daily MPOC and a weekly MPOC in here as well. This zone does sit between about 102, 276, all the way down to 101, 639. This is the next significant level of support, at least locally, right? I'm not saying this is like a huge macro level, but you do have the MPOCs there. So this is going to be that next level, right? Currently, we are front running this daily very slightly. We have some low time frame bull divs, right? You have the lower lows, you have the higher lows. Money flow is still in the red. So, you know, you have the bull divs. Could we get back above that anchored VWAP and push up? Yes. I am personally more interested in waiting for this level to get tapped. If it continues up from here, you know, I'll just let that go in anticipation of potentially coming back down. And if it just goes, I'll watch it go, and we'll find our next position or our next local setup, which is probably going to be short positions. But I'm simply going to remain patient here. I have my alert set on this level. This sits, again, 102, 276 to 101, 639. We'll see if we can get down there. If we do, you know, of course, inside the volume profiles, guys, this is not always my favorite place to take a long. And only reason for that is because if you look at this through the lens of a volume profile, and I'm going to show you the lower time frame money flow as well. You know, of course, deviation above the high, you get back into the range, you can't break out. Next stop is very likely going to be the POC. And then if we can't hold that POC, we have some confirmations we'll be looking at down here for some scalp long positions. But, excuse me, at the end of the day, right, if we can't hold this POC, I am simply going to be looking down to our next level, sitting at the value area low, which is confluent with... It's not just the value area low. We have our 786 Fibonacci retracement. We have a daily MPOC right on that value area low. And we, this might just be a sloppy drawing here. Let me go ahead and move this down to the 786. And this sits between about $100,741 and or 100,721 to 100,249. Now, this is a pretty important level, guys, because if we lose this, right, let's say we come down to the POC, maybe we get the scalp long to play out, but of course, we are going to be taking profit aggressively on those positions based off our money flow, not only on the 2-day, but once we start looking at the lower time frames, you guys will see why I'm going to be cautious on that. But if we do continue down, this is the last place to bounce, guys. If we can't hold this 786, if it's not going to be a little deviation below the low for another rotation through the profile, losing that 786 value area low is going to make me look down towards that point of control at $96,633, right? Because if you're looking for a higher low for potential continuation to the upside, again, money flow is not necessarily pointing towards this. So I am, again, going to be viewing these as scalps until proven otherwise, meaning I will be looking for lower highs and lower lows based off the money flow. But if we cannot hold this level down here, guys, I am going to be looking to take out these lows and push closer, at least closer, right? Like the next significant horizontal level that we have here is the point of control of that macro range, $96,633. Sure, we could maybe bounce before that, but again, this is really the only level that I can find, right? We have no MPOCs. We don't really have any daily horizontals, nothing in between these lows and that point of control. So get this marked off on your chart. If we cannot hold this level, I'm going to be looking down to take the lows into $96,633. Mark it off on your chart. Very, very, very important level. And give me 1 second, guys. Let me turn, hang on 1 second. All right, we didn't have the camera fan on, guys. We don't want the camera going black in the middle of the stream. Oh, my God. But as we look at that, right, biggest level right here, we lose this. I'm looking down towards the POC at $96,633. And to be quite honest, guys, there's not a lot of confluence on this level. Of course, we will be looking for longs, but I am still going to view those as scalps until proven otherwise based off the higher time frame money flow and the fact that we do not really have a lot of confluence on that POC. So if we don't get, even if we do get the bounce there, once we're inside this volume profile with the high time frame money flow coming out, such as the 2-day and the daily, we do have to be aware that, we're inside this volume profile, right? Like the chances of this filling, especially with money flow coming out, is going to be the higher probability scenario. Like even if we come up here to retest that $108,000 value area high, we still have to be careful of coming down to that POC. I would like this level if we had more confluence, but we just simply don't. And we've covered this for the past, not even the past couple of weeks. We covered this all the way back here as well in August. But when you pull your Fibonacci from the low to the high, you can see we have golden pocket confluence here on the value area low. And just through a volume profile perspective, right, obviously, if you can't get back above that value area high, right, next stop is the POC. You're going to get turbulence here. This is the area where the most volume was transacted. This is the strongest magnet within the profile, not only making it a strong magnet, but as always, right, get back inside. POC is next. More often than not, you will see the fulfill of that range. And again, money flow is pointing in that direction. And the reason I like this value area low level better, and it's not that you can't bounce here. Of course, we will be looking for longs down there, but I'm going to treat them as scalps. But if we come down here, this is the next significant level of support, guys, because we have more confluence down here than we do on the POC. At the value area low, we have the daily MPOC, golden pocket, value area low, and another daily MPOC. So you have 4 levels of confluence at the value area low, and you have no confluence at the POC, which is why I like that level a lot better. And then, of course, just within the context of a volume profile, the value area low is typically where I like to look for those long positions. So there it is, right? This is pretty much the same sentiment I've had for quite some time. It has not changed. Money flow continues out. We're still within the profile. And, so my sentiment remains exactly the same. Key levels almost exactly the same as well, other than these next little local levels that we have in here on the daily and the weekly MPOC and the daily MPOC, right? So confluence here. And then once you start losing this value area low, daily MPOC, right? That's where I'm looking down towards the POC, right? I know it gets confusing, right? Daily MPOC, POC of the range. But this is the macro POC of the range. This is just a daily naked point of control. So these are our last chances to bounce here. Lose this, we're looking down here. Pretty much the same scenario that we had over here. So yeah, I wish I could. And then if we look at our lower time frames here, guys, we'll take a look at the 45-minute money flow crossing into the red, right? With our 12-hour red dot now printing. Is this a blood diamond? It is not a blood diamond, which is very nice to see. I would prefer this not be a blood diamond. Let's check it on the Heikinashi candles. Not even printing here on the Heikinashis just yet. But we have that 12-hour red dot printing on the regular candles with our 45-minute money flow crossover into the red. Is this a market cipher B 1/16 strat bearish? Something crazy going on outside. I don't know if you guys could hear that. But that is, money flow even locally here. You're inside the volume profile, just like the same thing when you look at the larger profile. These volume profiles are always going to be treated exactly the same. Money flow stays in the red. I got to be cautious of a continuation through that profile, guys. Again, that's why I'm treating these as scalp levels, right? I'm not looking at this to be a massive bounce to higher prices. If I had daily money flow coming up, even if I had any other significant money flow coming up, I could say it looks a little bit better, but, even locally here, 12-hour red dot printing, 16-hour red dot printing, 1 hour money flow coming into the red. So you have 2 potential bearish market cipher B 1/16 setups. You have the 1 hour red dot or 1 hour money flow coming out with the 16-hour red dot printing. You have the 12-hour red dot with the 45-minute money flow already in the red. So I just have to be careful of those continuations down, right? So I would be very careful there. But again, if we can catch that scalp, maybe it turns into something bigger, but I'm going to let that hit me by surprise. Very important to realize, right? Just because we have support does not mean you have to go to all-time highs. As a matter of fact, we'd have to come up pretty high before I start looking at the idea of all-time highs incoming. Again, based off the 2-day money flow, right? We'll take a look at the 3-day money flow also continuing out here. This is not indicative of a massive new high to come. 4-day money flow, still kind of flat here. And again, you do have the green dots looking to print, but green and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market. Green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Money flow indicates the overall trend, right? Red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Red dot, right, when money flow comes out, you're anticipating an overall trend to the downside. So based off that, right, this green dot on the 3-day could be an ebb or flow to the upside, but I'm going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows until proven otherwise. That's just going to remain the same until we wind up breaking above really $111,000. And then even above there, we still have some resistance. But once we get closer up there, we'll have a better read on money flow. Maybe we can say we're going to get a fake out. But it's just too soon to call as of right now. So until then, I'm going to stay on the side of the money flow. It's been working out so far, and we're going to keep having that view. I even saw somebody all the good news has happened. We're still dumping. And it's this is why I do not pay attention to news, right? I'm just going to pay attention to the charts every single time. So that's overall what I'll be looking for, guys. Key levels, 102,276 to 101,639. We lose that. You have the last-ditch effort here at 100,721 to 100,249. Once we lose that, I'm looking towards the POC. And over the long term, right, once we get down here, that 2-day money flow is still going to be in the red. So again, it could just be that longer wait, right? We could still make money on these bounces, even if we get the bounce here. We can make money on those bounces, but the overall anticipation is still going to be lower. That is my bias right now, guys, until something changes here on the charts. So even if we get a local bounce, maybe we front run the daily. As you guys know, I'm more of a fan of actually getting the key levels to tap. So, could you front run this and get the push up? Maybe, but I would rather wait for the move down here. If we get the retracement to the upside, of course, even locally with the 45-minute money flow coming out, we do have to be careful around these Fibonacci retracements for even local lower highs and lower lows. And I will be interested because I was not on the charts when we had our short setup here from the premium. I am not personally holding that position, so I got to find my short setups on the retracements to the upside. And right here, you do have a local golden pocket 786 right on top of your value area high. So we could look, even if you push up here to retest that value area high, we have to be careful of the lower highs and the lower lows. This sits between about 104,231 and 104,843. So that's what we're looking at, guys. We can hope for the bounces. You got to be really careful around that those Fibonacci retracements for the lower highs. So let me come into the chat real quick here. Let's see. Buy silver and gold. Crypto has become garbage. Rigged casino. Shout out to alt-right. I guess part of that argument could be true. Let's see. Can you do hopium now, Frankie? Shout out to Base Bailey. Here's your hopium, guys. Here's your hopium. And hopefully by talking about, I know I've kind of had to have a little bit more of a bearish bias here, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but hopefully you guys can kind of see this stuff play out, right? Like if we had come up there, we did not see the confirmations, maybe we would have looked for a continuation up, but the charts were pointing down, we get the correction. But of course, right, as long as you hold on top of this golden pocket 786, there is still a chance, right? Even if money flow is coming up, here's the hopium, right? All the money flow fakes out, and you just push up. You get above the value area high at 108K, and you cook above our macro value area low, or our main range value area low. I would really say 111 to 112K. It's not really until we start flipping 111 to 112K where I'm open to maybe sweeping out the liquidity above 116K. But really the hopium here, guys, is that you just fake out the charts, right? Which isn't impossible. It's obviously, if you watch this show at all, it's obviously not the higher probability situation, but there is always going to be a possibility of a total fake out on the indicators, right? Or just on the charts in general. But Bitcoin looking a bit weak here, guys. I'm not going to lie. But that could change, right? Maybe if we see like major things start to change over the next week or so, I'll be the first person to let you know. But as of right now, like this is what the charts are pointing to, and that's what I base all my decisions off of. So I'm gonna keep that viewpoint, right? And from a very simple perspective, right, you could just look at your macro value area. Like if we can't, even if we get above 108K, right, it's like really 111 to 112K that I want to get above in order to just see a shot to the upside. And even then, we still have major levels of resistance up there. I'm not going to cover those right now just because we're super far away. But it's just, anytime we're in a profile, like if you watch the show or you've been around this channel for some time, it's like we're inside the volume profile, guys. Like filling this range is not super out of the question, especially when money flow is all pointing to the downside. So for the move down, for the continuation down, what I would look for is the 1 hour money flow crossover into the red, right, with our 16-hour red dot printing, which we have 43 minutes left to confirm. So, if you are just going to melt through here, maybe that 1 hour money flow crossover into the red will indicate lower highs and lower lows. But until then, maybe we can get a little retracement. If we just bounce from where we're at and front run the daily, I would just be careful. There's nothing here saying like, oh my God, gig along. I have to be careful with those longs. Treating my scalps until proven otherwise. That's the last time I'll say that, right? Because again, filling this range is going to be the higher probability with money flow coming out like that, and the fact that you're accepted below this value area high. All right, let me come into chat here real quick. Send it to 0, Erica. Send it. Shout out to Erica. Welcome in. Shout out to Rag Capital said, oh, man, Win is finally right. Nah, shout out to Rag. What is Win? Who is Win? Let me know. Shout out to Jet said November 11th. Who would ever think we'd only be a bit over $100,000? I don't know. Somebody was calling for the bull market to start on November 7th. I don't know where they get the dates from, guys, but I don't know. It didn't play out. I was praying for that. We had it marked down, and we were going to give I forgot who it was. I forgot the name. We were going to give them an emoji if the bull market started on November 7th. Clearly not the case. But I don't know. Somebody else give me a somebody else give me another date for the bull market to start. BTC will go to 3K, then 0, then to 1 million. I saw the future. Shout out to XCal. That would be a brutal ride. Get those limit orders in at 1 penny. Shout out to No One, says uptrend is over. Yeah, I mean, listen. I've covered this so many times on the channel here, guys. Like, there is a reason I don't just come up here and, talk about these bearish cases because I want price to go down. Of course, I want price to go up as much as anybody else. But, 2-day money flow crossover would indicate that your macro uptrend could be turning into a macro downtrend, right? And on top of that, of course, the one thing that we did not see this weekend, which we were hoping we were not going to see, was the weekly candle closure below the 50-week moving average. Now, this doesn't mean that we are not going to close our next weekly candle down there, but we did get the closure above, right? That was somewhat of a nice sign. So it's going to be the same thing this week, right? Like this weekly candle, we want to close it above the 50-week moving average. Once we start closing like 2-3 weekly candles down there, guys, again, this has every single other cycle marked that the top was in and the bear market was incoming with zero exception. There is not one time on the chart where that was not the case. I mark it off every day. There, here, and here. Once you get those multiple weekly candle closures, bear market, bear market, bear market. So we still have time in Q4, right? Like you don't have the bull market top indicators that a lot of people look at, pi cycle top, MVRVZ score. Some of this stuff has not fired, but I don't know if it's a guarantee that they have to fire, right? So I can't, we've talked about the timing of the cycles. We're coming up towards what we would think is near the end of the cycle. I actually have a list here of the bearish confirmations. Cycle timing would say that we're coming near the end. The weekly, 2-week, and monthly bearish divergences are confirmed. We have the money flow looking very high time frame money flow looking very similar to what we had at the top here in 2021. And, even if this time is going to be different, right, and we're not going to start the bear market here and the top is not in, the charts would still be pointing towards more downside, even if it's not going to be the bear market, right? It still doesn't change the fact that the chart looks pretty bearish. And then we also have like the social divergences that we talked about up here in 2021, right? Like massive retail interest, that second higher high did not have the same retail interest. It is very similar here. The only time we had significant retail interest was back here in Q4 of last year. And then up here on that second top, retail is nowhere to be seen, right? So you do still have some kind of social divergence here as well, right? Like people are less interested with price coming up. That is, also just a very technical or like literally a bearish divergence between social interest and your price action, right? Just divergence meaning going the opposite way. So you have a lot of things here, and I hate covering them, guys. Like, again, crypto is my life, right? Like, I want this thing to keep going up. But the beautiful thing is, even if we do go into a bear market, right, we're going to make tons of money shorting this thing down. There's going to be money to be made on the longs, the retracements to the upside. And the nice thing is, you still have some time in Q4. Maybe we get some bullish news. Maybe we can squeak back up here in Q4. But to be honest, like, the charts are not pointing towards that, right? So you got to be a little bit suspicious. So as soon as that changes, I will let you guys know. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Those are the local levels and the major levels of support and resistance. And the next places I'll be looking for bounces and rejections. If you're just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all those key levels. And the last key level we looked at last week was, of course, bear with me, right here, right? Golden pocket, anchored VWAP, value area low. Where'd we get the rejection from? Right here. Kind of annoying. If I was not out there for a long weekend visiting my family for my niece's baptism, I would 100% have been on the charts here taking this trade, but I was literally driving during this happening. But Premium Discord got the setup, which is very nice. I always say this, right? It's like, if I miss the trade, as long as it's in the Discord and the Mafia can make money, it makes me missing the move a little bit better. But we'll just catch that next position. Not a big deal here. Dude, I thought you froze for a second. Shout out to Dude. Shout out to JP. Real quick, guys, I did have some PC issues on the Premium live stream. So if I go dark and the stream cuts off, just hang tight for like 30 seconds. I'll reboot the computer and we'll be right back to where we are. But yeah. Let's see. XRP. Yeah, we'll take a look at XRP. We'll take a look at Ethereum. Let's see. Shout out to Perry said I need to join the premium. Shout out to Perry. And just to kind of show this, right? I could probably pull this up real quick. Let me just pull up my face cam here real quick because I don't want to leak any of the new setups. That wouldn't be fair for the people who pay. But I will just bring this up just to kind of show you guys, because somebody asked me last week, like, how do we run the Discord, right? And here is that short setup just to kind of show you guys, right? I always say, this is not a signals group. I don't just say, buy now, sell now, buy now, sell now. First off, I can't do that. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't think I can legally do that. But all I do is I spoon feed my personal trade setups, right? So we were looking at this level forever, right? Like way before we ever came up here. And of course, price kind of bing-bonged around before eventually coming up here. But the thought process is, hey, when we get up here, if anyone's curious on how we run the premium Discord, which, by the way, we will have some Black Friday sales coming. Hopefully I can make the announcement tomorrow. Shout out to Tony. Let's get that all together so I can announce that tomorrow. So we will have some really nice Black Friday deals for the Discord. But here it is, right? It's like we set that trap in the market, and I let everybody know, hey, this is the next significant level I'll be looking at for a short, and then I discuss it in the actual, don't mind greased up deaf guy here, guys. But I kind of like walk everybody through, right? Like the next short that I'll be interested in is from the value area low, anchored VWAP, Fibonacci retracement, looking for bear divs on the 30-minute and down with money flow coming out on the lower time frames, and a 1-hour bear div would also be a very nice confirmation, right? So we're just waiting to come into this level, and once we're in there, those are the confirmations we're looking for. What happens? We push into the level, and what do we see up here? Just to show you guys exactly how this works. We push into the level. I even let the Discord know over the weekend. I was able to sneak off on my phone for a second to update them, letting them know, well, obviously we got the bounce where we were looking for it, but letting them know, like, hey, we're currently rejecting the resistance level, but we don't have any divergences here. We don't have any confirmations, right? So what do I want to see? I want to see these highs taken out, right? So too early to short. But we're right on track, right? Currently rejecting our short zone, but I would like to see another high made deeper into the zone, right? And what happens? You get the pullback, but there's no confirmations. You get the pullback, and what happens? You push back up. There's your 30-minute bearish divergence, higher highs, lower highs, into your actual anchored VWAP value area low, and we even got the additional confirmation of that 1-hour bearish divergence. Higher highs, lower highs. What happens after? Short absolutely slaps. So that's kind of how we do the Discord. I'm only bringing that up just because we have the sale coming up. But yeah, that is... shout out to Thomas J. Said, thanks, man. Sold XRP at 258 because of the last week's stream. Shout out to Thomas. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate that, and hopefully I was able to save or make you some money there. But again, not financial advice. Never financial advice, guys. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing the TA, sharing the levels, and sharing what typically plays out based off my experience. And you have to make your own financial decisions. But it sounds like our information was able to help. It looks like you were able to take our information, take it into account, and then make your own decisions. So shout out to Thomas J. I love it, brother. I love it. No alt season anytime soon. Shout out to Harlem. I'll cover this when we get into the altcoins a little bit. But of course, yeah, it's a bit sketchy here if I'm being honest. But again, we'll cover this a little more in detail in a second. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm looking at on Bitcoin, guys. We'll see if we can come down to those key levels. Maybe we front run the daily here. But again, of course, like, if I don't hit my level, guys, I'm not looking to take the trade. If this continues up from here, I'm happy to miss that position. It's just totally fine, right? Like if I catch this long and I miss this short, I'll catch this long. If I miss that long, I'll catch the short. If I miss the short, I'll catch the long. If I miss the long, I'll catch the short. Not exactly what happened for me personally, but I caught the long and then I missed the short, obviously, because I was not on the charts. I was visiting family. I try to separate a little bit. Everyone's always like, Frankie, get off your phone. I'm like, I gotta at least update the Mafia, and then it gets very difficult. But let's see here. Made money, 258, major pocket to break above. It fell apart, sold, waiting for the bottom again. Shout out to Thomas J. Let's go, baby. Making that money the Mafia way. I love it. And notice Thomas did not make money listening to the news, but only looking at the charts, I think. Shout out to Thomas. Congratulations, bro. I'm just giving the information. You're making the decisions. You're pulling the triggers. You're managing the trades. So shout out to you, bro. Pat yourself on the back. Shout out to Jet said, for those saying no alt season, do you have real conviction in that? Sold off all your coins. Shout out to Jets. I have not sold any of my altcoins, but I actually mentioned this to the premium Discord on Friday. I will be scaling out of my Bitcoin here, guys. And this is not me saying I'm selling my Bitcoin because I know the top is in, or I know for a fact, like, oh my God, the top is in. You're an idiot if you don't sell. That is not the case, right? We have come in to not all, but two of our major bull market targets here. Let me pull up the cycle chart just to show this. Where are my moon mission targets, right? So we had target number 1, which was sitting right here between $92,000 and $102,000. I took some profit there. I am holding from $21,000, right? So this is just, I am sitting on my bags. It's pumping. I actually didn't take profit here. Why? Well, I didn't hit my target, right? And also the halving was just happening. Very low probability that this was going to be the all-time high, right? It would be the most lackluster bull run ever. Bitcoin makes a 7% all-time high and then bear market? Probably not, right? You have the halving and the entire bull cycle to continue up. Then we get our first hit on that major target. I take profit. And of course, we have come into the bottom of bull market target number 2. So I am going to be scaling out on retracements, but I'm not going to be selling my entire bag, right? There is a portion of my crypto that or my Bitcoin that I will just never sell. So this has a lot more to do with where I'm in at, right? I don't want to scare people that I'm going to be scaling out of my positions. On Bitcoin, at least. It just has to do with, like, I'm up like almost 500% on my Bitcoin, right? Like, I need to be taking profits up here, especially as we're hitting targets. So any retracements, I will be scaling out. And then, listen, if the charts are wrong and we are not going to continue down and this thing shoots up to higher prices, I will still be exposed to the market. But again, right, the risk to reward here for me is just not there, right? For me personally, based off my entry, right? It's like I've already enjoyed, where is my... Right, like I've already gotten the pop-up, 475%. So for me to hold my entire bag just praying that the cycle extends into massive new all-time highs, could it happen? Maybe. But for me personally, right, like up 500%, am I just going to like risk this in case we go into a bear market for an extra 27% to come onto 155K? It just doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't mean it doesn't make sense for you. But just for me personally, right, I don't want people thinking just because I'm scaling out of my Bitcoin that it's because I know the top is in or anything like that. I'm just listening to the charts. And if I see that there is a possibility that the top could be in and we could be going into a bear market, I'm going to kick myself a lot less, missing out on my full bag, getting an extra 27% gain. I'll be kicking myself more if I'm not taking more profit and ride that all the way back down into the bear market, just to be super clear. But for altcoins, it's a little different. I mentioned this on Thursday's live stream. Some of my altcoins, right, like my Ethereum, my Solana, my XRP are all massively in profit, so I will be scaling a little bit out of those. But in case we do see an alt season, right, I will be still partially exposed to that for a bigger move to the upside. I'm not going to sell my altcoins that are down massively. It just doesn't make sense, right? I don't really hold a lot of altcoins that I don't believe in. I do hold a little bit of a COQ, as you guys know, but just to kind of show this, right, like... This is a meme coin, right? Like when I buy meme coins, guys, they are essentially, I view them as gambles. If this thing goes to zero, like what I invested into that coin, I'm willing to ride to zero, right? I look at it as like one bet. I'm going to put this in. If it moons, great. If it goes to zero, that's my risk management, right? It just goes to zero. I don't care if that bag goes to zero. But for things like Solana, Ethereum, XRP, I'm going to start taking some partial profits. If it wants to continue up, we'll continue to profit. But again, if not, I want to lock in those profits, right? I'm not going to sell anything that I believe in at a massive loss, right? But again, just keep in mind, my portfolio overall is much heavier weighed towards Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, XRP, like much bigger high market cap coins, and a lot of those are in profit. So have I sold all my altcoins? Not by any means. Am I taking profits on some of my bigger alts that are in profit? Yes. So hopefully that makes sense. And then, I'm sure someone will be like, he sold his XRP and now it's mooning. And it's like, I'm still holding my bag, right? I've been holding my XRP for years. So I got to protect myself here. All right, let's see. Scammers are so random. Shout out to Tony D. They come so sporadically. Shout out to Tony D. Yeah, they come in randomly. All right, let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Shout out to Nicholas Perry says, sold all my Bitcoin for alt, gamble, max pain. Shout out to Nicholas. Well, for your case, brother, I hope, and I'm going to get into kind of like if we can see the alts pop in a minute, but for you, brother, I hope we pump, baby. I hope we pump. I'm not one of those people that's like, especially with the way the charts look right now, it's like, we took a look at Bitcoin dominance. Let me pull that up real quick. Right, we're just still kind of wiggling our way to the upside here. We've hit our major key level of resistance. Weekly money flow starting to come out, which actually doesn't look super bad. But your daily money flow, like this daily money flow continues up. That indicates the trend could continue to the upside. Green dot looking to print here. Now, obviously, we have tapped into the resistance. We started to get a pullback. But again, it's like, it's hard to say, right, if we're actually going to get this rejection, right? Because when we look at the 3-day or 2-day and 3-day money flow, 2-day money flow back in the green now. VWAP curving up. Or 2-day money flow, 3-day money flow crossing back into the green. You have a red dot printing. 4-day money flow still generally trending out here. So, money flow is not an instant signal. Like, oh my God, money flow crossed out, go down, right? It's overall indicating the trend. So, we still have an opportunity to reject from this zone. We're just kind of played around with this for, many times at this point. But if we don't get the rejection from here, you really need to see this dominance start like tanking. If we get above this, you have your next zone up here, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it still remains the same, 62.64 to 64.24%. If we can't reject that 786, we flip this value area low to support. I have to say to myself, especially if money flow is coming up, that we could reclaim value area low. POC is probably the next likely target, right? So we get back up in here and flip this to support. We might have to go for that bigger retracement, but we do have an opportunity to put in a macro lower high there for a bigger drop down, right? And if money flow on the 4-day can continue out, maybe that's where you see the bigger drop to the downside. But very hard to call the timing, right? Everybody wants to know, when are my alts going to pump? When are my alts going to pump? We got to wait for these things to make a move. We have to wait for dominance to make the move. We have to wait for the alts to get the real pop to the upside. Even on Friday's market update, I covered like Zcash, and I mentioned that like, not all the altcoins are following those pumps, right? It's really just like Zcash, Dash, I think it was ICP was pumping as well. It's like not everything was pumping like that. So, people see the pump on the altcoin, they're like, oh my God, this is alt season, right? But that's happened like 50 times throughout this cycle, and none of those times were the legit alt season that we were looking for. So we're just going to keep looking at this and updating guys as the price action develops, right? Or the dominance action develops. So, yeah, I wish I could just say, like, oh, my God, massive indicator for alt season right now. But it's just not here. But overall, right, like, I just don't know if it's going to be like this, right? Money flow comes out, or if we have to push up here, money flow comes out for the lower high. Once we start cracking above this POC, not looking good, right? Obviously. Flip that POC. We have the 786 above, and then potentially the value area high, which hopefully is not the case. That would be crazy. So, yeah, I'll keep you guys updated there. I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, alt season tomorrow. It's just not how it works. All right, let's see. Yo, shout out to Wade's. He said Frankie the Pirate because I keep saying, all right, Frankie Candles, the Pirate. All right, well, let's continue. Or should I say let's continue. Frankie, can we get alt season on that lower high before putting in the lower low? Shout out to Perry. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. But yeah, it's just really hard, right? Like, this is an opportunity for a rejection. I can't guarantee that you will get that rejection, especially with that daily money flow coming up, right? With the VWAP coming up and your 2-day money flow coming back into the green, 3-day money flow coming back into the green. But to delete some of that lower time frame noise, right? We could just keep an eye on this 4-day money flow, right? This is going to be a little more smoothed out. It's a higher time frame. So we'll see. I mean, there's an opportunity to get the bigger drop here. But when I see it playing against that daily money flow, I can't ignore the fact that maybe this trend will continue up a little bit more. But again, I don't really get like super concerned about no alt season until we get above this POC, or 786, and we're like entering 2026, right? Because that's just something we've never seen before, to see an alt season come in, after the top is in on Bitcoin, after the cycle, quote unquote, ends timing wise. So it's very difficult. Shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat. Said, sorry, Frankie, about Premium. Premium After Dark is a new bonus subscription with Premium. Don't ask Darren started it. Did you ever see Old School? It's like that. You're Frank the Tank. Tyler insisted. Shout out to Creighton C. I actually have seen Old School, but it was so long ago, I don't even really remember it. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it. Maybe I'll rewatch it with Mrs. Candles this week. But shout out to Creighton C. Frankie Candles After Dark in the Premium, guys. It's almost like it's like we call it Only Candles. Anyway, shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Let's see. And Tony D, thank you for the super chat. Said, for those asking for Black Friday deals will be unveiled on Black Friday, same as last year. The sale will extend through Cyber Week. Shout out to Tony D. He is in charge of the sale. But there we go. Hopefully I can give some more details on that as far as pricing goes. And then hopefully we can start the actual deal on Black Friday. Let's see. XRP is straight trash. Yeah, we'll take a look at XRP. Let's jump into Ethereum real quick. Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick here, guys. So Ethereum, obviously, let me pull it up over here. All right, let's take a look here. So On ETH, obviously, we were getting the bounce from our golden pocket, right? We knew once we lost this value area high, the next key level to look at would be that golden pocket between about $32 and $3,100. We did indeed get the bounce, but what was that key level that we needed to get above and flip to support? Of course, it was going to be the macro value area high anchored VWAP confluence here, which of course we faked out, and now we are back down below. So this does still remain the next big level to get above until we can flip that 35.30 level to support, guys. This is what opens up the door to push up towards the bigger target, which definitely does sit here between 37.63 and 38.45. You also have your anchored VWAP from this high right here coming in confluence there. But I'm not even going to be looking up to this target until we can flip this level to support. Now, if we are unable to get that bigger push up, right, and we just wind up coming down, maybe Bitcoin goes towards that macro POC. The only other level below us here, guys, before I have to really start looking to lower prices is going to be, let me pull it up over here on this chart because I have the naked points of controls. Of course, that golden pocket was also confluent with the Ethereum's 50-week moving average. But if we can't hold this, right, and we wind up losing that golden pocket, I'll be looking down to the only level underneath that is the daily MPOC at about $3,026. Maybe we could put in some high time frame bull divs there for a bigger bounce to the upside. But again, it's like we don't really want to get accepted into this range. We need to get out of here in order to look for the bigger move to the upside. Let me get rid of this box. And once we lose that daily MPOC at about 3K, right, $3,026, that is where we're looking down towards the next significant zone, which sits between this daily MPOC and 786 Fibonacci retracement between 28.19 and 27.19. And it's kind of similar, right? Like lose this value area high. The next level to look at is the golden pocket. If we lose this daily MPOC, the next level to look at is the 786. So those are the levels I'll be looking at on Ethereum. As far as our money flow, this looks very similar to Bitcoin, right? You have the daily money flow continuing to the downside, VWAP rolling over here as well. So we'll see if we get that daily red dot. And then your 2-day money flow also coming out here. And even locally, when we take a look at the lower time frames, your 45-minute money flow is in the red. Your 1-hour money flow is looking to cross over into the red. And those are both accompanied by the 1/16th red dots, which is the 12-hour red dot and the 16-hour red dot. So those are bearish setups on Market Cipher B. So I would be cautious of that continuation down. So we'll see if this 1-hour money flow crossover can give us a bigger drop. But those are the next key levels that I'll be looking at. And, might take some time to get down there. We might chop around. But, again, the hopium case here is to flip your 35.30 level of support in order to push up towards our bigger resistance levels between 37.68 and 38.36. Jumping on over to XRP. I will do a quick check-in on XRP. Pull up a wrong chart. Where is it at? Here we are. All right, XRP. So, biggest levels on XRP. Let me hide the 50-week moving average. Obviously, we looked within this profile, and we went from our high. We broke the major level of resistance, ignoring the liquidation wick. We settled on the POC. At that point, you are expecting eventually, even if it is choppy, even if it is messy, lose that value area high. POC is next. Price likes to stick to the point of control, is the strongest magnet within the profile, but once you lose that level, you're looking down towards the value area low, which we have now gotten, right? As we get the bounce off the value area low, we look at this golden pocket, 786 retracement as our key level of resistance. We came up, we got rejected, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We are now, I'm going to take this off because we've already rejected these levels. This is still the volume profile, right? Like the next move to the upside, right? The next big levels of resistance are really going to be sitting. I'm going to actually adjust this because it does extend down to the anchored VWAP, right? And that is going to be sitting down here between 264 and 280. This is the biggest level to get above on XRP. If we want big moves up on XRP, we need to break back into this range and flip this level to support. That is where I'd be looking for a bigger move up. Until then, we are going to be looking at this volume profile, and I'll even take the other one off so it's not super confusing. Let me just drag this up here so I can get this all. I'm going to pull this up in a folder. Bada boom, bada bing, right? We'll hide that upper range. We're just within this profile, right? From the high to the low, from the low. If we could flip back above the POC, we're just going to be looking up towards that high. And with all the confluence we have here on that upper range is this massive, massive resistance. Flip that. I feel better about a bigger move up. If not, well, we'll just be looking for another rotation back down to that value area low. When we take a look at our money flow here, 1 hour money flow is also continuing to the downside, as you can see. 16-hour red dot is printing, about to confirm in about 17 minutes. So if we're going to get the bigger push down and we're not going to flip this POC, which at this point, right, maybe we do get that full rotation. If we could flip that POC, we're looking up here. If that 1 hour money flow crosses into the red and we get a lower high, I would look to continue that bigger move off that money flow crossover. But for me, there's no trade to be had here on XRP. I would rather wait for another short setup at the key resistance, or I'd rather wait to come back down to the value area low for a potential long. We're just sitting in the middle of the range. It's a no trade zone for me in this particular scenario. But again, 1 hour money flow coming out, 45-minute money flow coming out. You have your 12 and your 16-hour red dot printing, 12-hour red dot. 12-hour red dot is looking to print here. You can see that VWAP coming towards that 0 line. So we'll see what happens, right? Like 12-hour money flow doesn't look super bad. 16-hour money flow doesn't look super bad. Daily money flow in the red. 2-day money flow in the red. 3-day money flow in the red. You have the green dot, which could indicate a little bounce, but this money flow would still indicate a bigger trend to the downside to continue. Doesn't mean that you can't get continuations up before continuing down, right? Or retracements up before continuing down. This money flow indicates the longer-term trend is more likely to continue down. 4-day money flow in the red, and then 5-day money flow in the red. 6-day money flow coming out aggressively. Weekly money flow also coming out as well, right? So with the green dots printing, I wouldn't be surprised if you get some turbulence, but all this money flow is coming out. If I want a massive move up into new all-time highs, guys, I need the opposite of this like I talk about every day. Big red wave crossing into the green. We don't have that. We have literally the opposite. So, again, same thing on XRP, right? Like, you're just really waiting for the fake out, right? Like, you need that fake out to call for new all-time highs. Other than that, it's not really setting up on the chart. So there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on XRP. Let's see. Shout out to Base Bailey. Said, Frankie, have you called Satoshi lately? I called him last week, but he's upset with me. He's helped us out on almost every single move that we were looking for. Satoshi was on our side helping us get those moves, but I think he's sick of it. So he hung up on me. Shout out to Base Bailey. All right, let's see. Shout out to Wick's Wife 589. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Shout out to Wick's Wife and Wick 589. Uniswap, yeah, we can take a look at Uniswap, no problemo. And inverting the chart fixes this. Yes, absolutely. There's the hopium, guys. If you just flip the chart upside down, it looks super bullish. Shout out to Kalia. Said, what's a more powerful signal when a red/green dot is printing, or the next candle after it's printed? Well, I wouldn't look at one as more powerful of a signal than another. All I would look at that as, Kalia, is when your red dot is printing. Like, the importance of having your next candle confirm after your red dot prints or green dot prints is the fact that it locks that signal in, right? Like, you could have a red dot printing here, as you can see. Well, it's not printing. This is obviously already confirmed. Let me find something where we have something printing. Let's go over to XRP. Right, so we have a 3-day green dot printing here, and a potential and a technical bullish divergence printing here on the 3-day as well. But again, not all bull divs are created equal, right? Like, sure, that's a 3-day bull div. It could still give you a bounce, but that money flow is still going to be the overall trend continuation signal. But if this green dot is printing, the importance of having your next candle or this candle confirm is that it locks that green dot in, right? So right now you have 13 minutes, technically, left for this candle to confirm. In the next 13 minutes, if we dumped, right, this green dot could disappear, right? So if you're using that as a signal to confirm a divergence or something like that, it is important that you understand that it's not until that next candle prints and that green dot gets locked in that you would confirm that bullish divergence. So again, if we dump here, this green dot can disappear. That's the importance. I wouldn't consider them like separate signals. I would just consider that next candle printing the confirmation of that green dot, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Shout out to Clea. Great question. Shout out to OC2 Beats. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, hi, Frankie. Just joined your view on NIR, question mark. Shout out to OC2. We could try to take a look at NIR. No problem. I don't have my notebook here, so I can't write it down. But we will take a look at NIR. Quick reminder, guys. Please do not super chat your altcoins, or you can, but it just does not guarantee that we look at them. It would be impossible to get all those requests filled. But we will take a look. I'll try to take a look at NIR, and I will also take a look at Uniswap. Bada boom. Let's see. Do we have a Uniswap chart here? I don't believe. We must have something, right? What is this? This is the Coinbase chart. Check the Binance chart. Might not have a Uniswap chart, to be honest. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, so on Uniswap, look at that. Weekly MPOC got ran through, flipped back to support with some bullish divergences. Let me just mark off these value area levels. There's your low. There's your POC. There's your high. So, again, liquidation wick a little bit wonky, right? But you get the big deviation below. You get back in, right? And now we're just back up at that value area high. So not really the cleanest thing just because of the big liquidation here. But, again, I would still argue, right? Like you're still hoping for fake outs on money flow here. Maybe you get it. This is the 3-day money flow in the red. You have the bullish divergence, but you really need this money flow not just to cross into the green, right? You need this to cross into the green and ideally come up very aggressively. You want to break this high. You want to break this high. Because when you look at this money flow, right, we have already had, money flow crossover into the green, and then obviously the liquidation wick kind of messes up the indicator because it can't react fast enough. So it's just a little bit hard just because that liquidation wick. It's like those indicators are going to get a little wonked out. Any indicator is going to get wonked out on those big, fast moves. But it's like you have a big green wave, right? And we're crossing into the red. So that does make me suspicious that if you start crossing into the green here, it might just be a fake out for a bigger continuation into the red. But we'll have to wait to see what happens there. Let's take a look at the 2-day. 2-day money flow still in the red as well. 4-day money flow crossing into the green. So this is the high time frame money flow mixed signals here. It's like I look at this from a daily perspective. Money flow is clearly in the red. 2-day, clearly in the red and coming lower. 3-day just crossed over into the red, indicating the potential start of a much bigger downtrend. But then you look at the 4-day, and it's like, this looks pretty good, right? You have a massive red wave crossing into the green. Take a look at the 5-day. 5 days the opposite, right? So the high time frame money flow on a lot of these altcoins are just completely chopped up, which makes it extremely difficult to make a confident call here. The one thing I will say, let me get rid of, we'll keep that monthly MPOC. Get rid of this, right? What I can do here is pull some Fibonacci retracements from our high to our low. You can see we are currently rejecting our 786, right? So if you are looking at that money flow coming out as a bearish sign, right? If you're looking for lower highs and lower lows, right? You have your high, your low, your potential lower high before another lower low comes in. This would be the zone you're looking at for that rejection, and you could see right on that 786. So I would really like, to be honest, not only a flip of this 786, but I'd also like to get above this monthly MPOC, and then we can approach our potential doorway to higher prices here, doorway to higher prices, sitting at about $17.95. Once you flip that to support, well, guess what? Here's your lower value. Whoops. Here's your lower value. Here's your upper value, right? When price impulses out of your lower value, it's going to seek out the previous area of fair value. We did it here, got back out, did it here again. If we could get above that monthly MPOC, the next target becomes $17.95, which is your doorway to higher prices. Once you flip that to support, you could look for the bigger fill of that volume profile. But of course, it's like when I take a look at this money flow, it's like, when I take a look at that money flow, it's like I have to be cautious, right? Like 5-day money flow crosses into the red. It's like, well, if this is going to indicate a continuation down, this would be the lower high, very likely. But then you take a look at something like the 4-day, and it's like, well, dang. You have the 4-day bull div here, right? And money flow is coming up. That's like, this looks pretty nice, right? And it's very hard because this money flow wave's kind of wonky, but it's like 4-day doesn't look that bad. 3-day looks bad. 5-day looks bad. 6-day looks bad. Weekly, still thick in the green, right? This is just kind of flat, not really much, and technically is trending out. But it's really the 4-day that's the outlier here. That 4-day looks really good. It's not the prettiest money flow wave, but I would still say, right, more of them are trending out than trending up. It's really the 4-day that's the outlier here. But we'll see. That's why I pay a lot more attention at this point with the liquidation wick kind of stepping on market cipher. I would really like to see the flip of those key levels. 786 coming in at 10.15. Naked point of control coming in, or monthly MPOC coming in at 13.25. Once we get above that, that's your last level to get above. Once you get above 17.95, let's look for that bigger push up towards the monthly MPOC and the value area high. So we'll see. Big pop up, right? But in the context of it's like if that 4-day, here's the thing. If this 4-day was not the only outlier, right? If this 4-day was doing the same thing as everything else, I would look at this as a very bearish chart. It's that one thing. Is that 4-day, that one bullish signal, going to be able to step on everything else? Statistically, it would be lower probability, but maybe that's all we need. But those are the key levels that I would need to break above in order for me to feel a lot better. And even if we hide this volume profile real quick, could pull this locally as well, right? Because you kind of have this secondary range here. Yeah, I mean, you're rejecting that value area high as well. So that's what I'd be looking at. There's your key level of resistance, currently rejecting. Once you get above there, last thing to get above is that monthly MPOC. Then you can start looking higher. Again, money flow just super chopped up here on the higher time frames. So there you go. There's a little bit of Uniswap sauce. Let's go. Near. I'll take a quick look at near. Where are we at? Where are we at? Zoom into a lower time frame. Get rid of this. This is, whoops. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Whoops. 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 There's your value area low. Okay, so here's your lower range just to get our bearings here, right? Macro value area high or bear market value area high. Your POC and value area low is way down here. Just to give you an idea. We slipped this profile a bunch of times. We did not get accepted, which is very nice, right? Liquidation wick almost brought you all the way down to that value area low. But right now, you're kind of just bing-bonging around here. I don't have this all organized into folders, so let me just go ahead, hide the lower range. We'll just look at this local range, right? Well, I would say big level that you don't want to lose is, of course, going to be this value area low. And the reason this is such an important level to hold is really because it's the macro value area high. We get stuck back in here, can't break out. I'm looking for the bigger drop down to the value area low POC. If we can hold in here, right, until then, right, we don't have to really look at this range until we get back down to that value area high, which, by the way, sits at $2.31. But for now, you're just within this local range, right? There's your beautiful deviation above, break into the range, can't get out. At that point, you're looking for the full fill at least to the POC, lose the POC, go to the value area low, got the breakdown, deviation below the low, get back in, next likely place for price to go, POC, value area high, reject the high, back to the POC, back to the low, back to the high, almost back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back in, can't get out, back to the low, deviation, back in, fulfill the profile. So you can see this is just simply range bound, right? So if you can't reclaim this point of control at 268, I would be looking for a bigger move down towards that value area low at 223. Once you start losing that, well, guess what? You are now getting accepted potentially back into your upper range, right? Or I'm sorry, your lower range, which could be, right? Like the biggest level to stay above is going to be this zone, right? Like you don't really want to lose this. And you can even see here recently, every time we lose it, back in, back in. Whoa, almost filled the whole range. Whoa, and then back in, right? So when we lose this, that opens up the door. Once you lose this level, that opens up the door to get the bigger move down towards the POC value area low, towards 135 to 155, or 135 to 130. But until then, you could just view this as your local range. Maybe we come down, deviate below, you get another setup here for a rotation back into the range, right? But very key level down there. Looking at money flow, of course, this is probably going to look very similar to everything else. 2-day money flow in the red, 3-day money flow in the red, 4-day money flow coming up. Now, the one thing I would say here is, I mean, this is sketchy, guys, if I'm being totally honest. It's like 5-day money flow, 6-day money flow, 2-week money flow in the green, weekly money flow attempting to come up. We just need something to move here. Like, we just got to stop chopping around to get, like, more information on these indicators. But 4-day money flow is trending up, right? You do have some kind of bullish divergences here on the 4-day. And you can see the 3 days a little chopped up. Big red wave. You're in the green, in the red, you know, from a general standpoint, right? Like this money flow wave was pretty long, right? Maybe this is a fake out into the red for a move back into the green. Taking a look at the 2-day. 2 days just really choppy. I mean, yeah, high time frame money flow just really hard. Again, to delete all that noise, I would just look at the higher time frames. If this 4-day continues trending to the upside and we get that crossover, maybe it does indicate that we can look for higher lows and eventual higher highs. But in order to call for the big move to the upside, we'd have to break above this value area low at 386. Until then, we'll chop around this range and hopefully hold these lows, because if we lose these, massive drop through the lower volume profile. If we can get out, get above this value area high at 308, this is your key level to flip. Once you flip that, we can look for a bigger continuation to the upside, and hopefully that's accompanied by a 4-day money flow crossover. That would be the bullish case. So that's what I'd be looking at on near. So yeah, local range, value area low, 223, POC, 262, value area high, 308. That's your range you're in. That's the range I would trade. Once you break out of here, you can look to come into your bigger range with your value area low, 384, POC, 521, value area high, 677. And then if you can break above there, we can start talking about coming up into this upper value over here. So there you go. That's what I'd be looking at here on near. Just about everything is sketchy these days. Shout out to Dave Hagan. Yeah, pretty much. Shout out to Dave. I have nothing. I have nothing left in the game besides regular stocks. I hope God has judgment on all market makers. Shout out to Steve S. XRP is dumping. We just looked at XRP. Is it just randomly dumping? Oh yeah, like lower time frame, just pushing down, which makes sense, right? As Bitcoin is, let's see, we're getting a little bit of a bounce here, and she's kind of chopping around. Again, I would prefer to see that daily zone tapped, if I'm being honest. I would prefer to see this tapped. Not impossible to front run it, but yeah, we'll see. She's just chopping around here. She's dumping. Frankie's live. Go sideways. That seems to be the deal. Nothing looks good, including Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm cool with a little lower, just not much though. Shout out to Crypto Night. I would have to agree with that. I know I'm not. You got to trade what the market gives you, right? It's like, this is why I only stick to like raw information here, guys. It's like, and this is why I always say, like, that's why I flip the chart upside down, because I don't want anyone to ever think like I'm here to spread fear. It's not like I'm totally out of my Bitcoin bag already and I just want price to go down, so I'm calling for that. This is why I like to say, guys, hey, listen, if I were looking for a massive bounce here, this is what I would like to see. Now let's look at what we actually have, right? And again, of course, to see a massive move up, right? What do we want to see? Last massive, right? Money flow in the red here on the 3-day money flow. Crosses green. Well, hey, now we can look for a bigger move up, right? But as soon as that money flow comes out, it is always going to indicate more downside, right? Like even here, you get a money flow crossover, you get a big drop down, and then it comes back into the green and continues up. The problem here, you might be asking yourself, like, why can't we see another fake out like we saw back here where it was like a little drop down and a big continuation up? And the answer to that question is it's not impossible to see that. It's really the timing of the cycle that has me a little worried here. If we're going to see those fake outs, they have to happen soon, in my opinion, if you're going to pay attention to the timing of the cycles. So it's like a money flow on the 3-day coming out here at this point is a lot different than seeing 3-day money flow come out here or even 2-day money flow, right? I was saying the premium Discord earlier today. Like this 2-day money flow crossover that we had right back here was much different, right? We had a lot of time in the cycle. The halving had just happened. Right? So you're expecting the cycle to continue up anyway. So it's easy to say, well, hey, this could be a 30% correction, a typical 30% bull market correction before another all-time high comes in. Same thing here. You still have time in the cycle, right? Money flow goes into the red. We actually looked for this all the way back in February, right? We were looking for this drop down to 80 to 75K to put in massive bullish divergences for a big continuation up. Money flow comes out. We look for that big bull market 30% correction for a higher low and a higher high. But once you start getting at this timing of the cycle, guys, it just gets harder and harder to say, don't worry about it, guys. We'll get the fake out, right? Because at this point, it's like you can't say to yourself, we have the whole cycle left, or, we still have some time in the cycle. It's like when you go from a timing perspective, it's like, hey, we're coming up to the end here. So it just gets shadier and shadier. Like even if this fakes out again and we put in a new all-time high before 2026, right? It's like the next money flow crossover is going to be really hard, like even harder than it is here to say it's going to fake out. Right? If I wanted a big move up, what would I need here? You either need a fake out on money flow or you need to start seeing money flow trend to the upside like we had back here, right? Or like we had back here. So that's where the inversion comes in. It's like if they looked like this and this was a big red wave, right? If the chart looked like this, big red wave crossing into the green, well, at that point, I'm saying this looks really clean. right? It's like, hey, you're at key support, 50-week moving average, and I'll even pull up the 50-week to show you how, like, this is also lined up in the past, right? You test the 50-week moving average. If we have money flow coming up into the green, I'd say, hey, get above that 50-week moving average. Let's put it in a new all-time high. Problem is, I literally changed the settings on Market Cipher and flipped the chart up, flipped Market Cipher B upside down. Right? Like, we literally have the opposite of that. So, if we see the fake out, well, hey, then we'll have something else to talk about. But until then, got to be very, very cautious. Shout out to Mickey, says 130K. That is a lot of work from this point. Yeah, shout out to Mickey. I mean, again, just to kind of show you guys the walls of resistance. Not that you can't break above them, but just to kind of show that, right? It's like, what do we have above us? Well, number one, you got to get above your macro value area high, right? Because if we're not going to get stuck in here, right, like, you got to flip that to support. And then we can go to all-time highs? Not so fast, right? Once you get above here, where's your next resistance? Whoops. Well, then you have the 110, 144, all the way up to the 786 at about 112, 546. Once we get above there, right, it's like get above 108K, awesome. Ramming right into resistance, which could be a lower high for a lower low, right? Once we get above the 786, I feel pretty good about coming to sweep the liquidity above 116K. Really hard, based off money flow, for me to call for that right now. Because even at above 108K, it's like, well, now we got to get above here. Once we get above there, it's like, cool, let's sweep that liquidity above 108K, which, by the way, is also our full golden pocket retracement from the high to the low. So even then, right, you could look to sweep that liquidity, but you're sweeping right into resistance. Then once you get up to the value area high, you have the 786, which is technically the line in the sand for new all-time highs. So you have massive, massive, massive resistance above. I don't make the rules, right? I'm just sharing what's on the chart, right? So yes, I would agree. There's a ton of work to do in order to call for new all-time highs at this point. Like even tomorrow, if we wake up and we're above 108K, right? It's like, oh my God, Bitcoin ripped 5% overnight, 6% overnight, 7% overnight, 8% overnight. It's like you're still in resistance with money flow coming out. And of course, I'm rooting, right? I'm rooting for something like this. Doesn't mean it's high probability, right? Shout out to Base Bailey, said, Frankie, you missed the predictions for the next bull market start. I went with November 16th. Shout out to Base Bailey. Are you talking about this November 16th in 5 days? Shout out to Base Bailey. I hope so. I hope so. Shout out to James, said bull run December, I reckon. Don't get shaken out. Shout out to James. I hope so. I would be looking more at. Here's the thing, right? Like, I do think at this point, right, especially for someone who's holding Bitcoin from the bear market, the opportunity, right, if we're going to see another leg up here, maybe the altcoins run, maybe the altcoins, like, bull market could start. But, yeah, I assume, James, you're talking about just, like, you know, maybe the next leg up in December, not necessarily bull market. Obviously, we've been in a bull market for quite some time, right? Cycles have essentially just, once again, repeated almost perfectly, right? Let me pull up the right. Obviously, you know, the cycles are has at this point, if the top is in, right, or even if we put one more top in the end of this quarter, yeah, it would be very close to the previous cycles. But of course, you know, we've been in a bull market for quite some time here. So I would never say like the opportunity is really here in Bitcoin, right? We've already gotten massive moves up on Bitcoin. I would say more of the opportunities, if alt season happens, more of the opportunity is going to be in the altcoins. But this is why I always say, it's like what I was saying this recently, right? Like when I ever recommend somebody buy Bitcoin up here, it's like, I don't know, you're buying Bitcoin literally the most expensive it's ever been. Like, sure, if it pumps, you'd be like, oh, that was good, right? But like, it's still not the best time to buy. Very risky to buy at the tops like that, obviously. So, but yeah, maybe, you know, December, like that's the hope, right? Like maybe the end of Q4, we get that last rally, we get a Santa rally, the altcoins start to pop. Definitely not impossible. But we are running out of time very quickly, so we got to hurry up. We got all these bearish things popped up on the chart here, as well as cycle timing and social analytics. So come on, baby. It's not over until the fat lady sings, unless we get those. And again, you know, as long as we don't get those two multiple weekly candle closures below the 50-week moving average, technically we can still look for the push up. Shout out to JJ, said, so many bullish catalysts ahead. Square today, SoFi tomorrow, market structure. I assume you meant to write bullish. This is a manipulation move down. Yes. Well, so here's the thing. Someone asked me this on the live stream the other day. Yeah, you could totally argue that, right? For sure. I can't really argue against that. So I would agree with you there. The problem with that is, market structure will stay bullish until it's not, right? So it's the same thing back here. It's like, well, here we go. Beautiful higher low for another higher high. Why were we so confident saying this was not the bear market, and why was I so confident looking for all-time highs? Well, of course, we were coming into our Fibonacci retracements with massive bullish divergences. This is where you would look for the higher low before a higher high, right? But the problem is you're going to have that happen until it doesn't hold, right? Not that would be the fib I'm watching, but maybe you keep the general structure intact here, right, for a higher low and a higher high. But here's the problem, right? Not every push into a level where you would look for a higher low and a higher high is going to be created equal. And I show this example almost every live stream. Right here, you would be saying to yourself, oh, awesome. Let's go. Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. I personally was not looking for higher lows here, right? Doesn't mean that that's not a level you could look at for a higher low, right? It's like, well, hey, we haven't broken this down yet. That's not bad. But how do we front run the idea of what makes me confident to look for a higher low in a situation like this, right? Why am I confident on this higher low, but why would I not be confident in this higher low? Well, the reason comes down to money flow, right? 4-day money flow is in the red here. At that point, right, crosses over, you get the continuation down, your money flow is in the red. You're looking for lower highs and lower low, and it's not just the 4-day, right? You also look at the 3-day. 3-day in the red, right? We've had the whole bull market play out. You get the push into your higher low level, but money flow is coming out. You're looking for lackluster bounces, lower highs, lower lows. Look at your weekly money flow. Your weekly money flow is like the real telltale sign. This indicates the bear market, or has indicated the bear market every time. Maybe it's different this cycle, but it would be the first time it's ever been different, right? Okay, beautiful. Low, high, higher low, higher high. Look at that. We can hold it, right? But this is different because look at your weekly money flow coming out, right? You're looking for lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows. It's a low probability higher low situation there. And what happens, right? Again, timing of the cycle, money flow. You're looking for lower highs and lower lows. What are we looking at here, right? Well, money flow, weekly money flow is actually coming out decently here, but we had plenty of time left in the cycle. 2-day money flow, or even the daily money flow, right? You put in the bull divs, money flow comes back up on the daily, crosses into the green, still time left in the bull market, look for the higher high. It just gets very difficult to look at that here with all this high time frame money flow coming out. The 2-day money flow crossover back here is much different than a 2-day money flow crossover over here. Hopefully it's not, right? Hopefully it just continues up, right? But it is different. It's objectively different because of the timing, right? Just like it was a little different back here, right? But like this money flow crossover, again, I say this every day. I'm in the camp that this was really the top of the bull market in 2021. But, it's like that second crossover here, when you start getting that late in the cycle, is a lot more worrisome than this one back here, right? I would be aware of this being a very likely bull market correction before continuing up. Same thing here, very likely bull market correction before a continuation up. But now the timing is just very much more suspicious, right? So technically, if you just draw this as like a trend line, you could say, well, hey, if we hold on top of this trend line, we can continue the structure. Sure, right? But if money flow is coming up, the higher probability is that higher low does not hold, and you look for a lower high and a lower low. Hopefully not the case. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. Am I still believing in the 4-year cycle? Shout out to Criminal. I don't ever base anything just solely based off the 4-year cycle, right? If they start printing money, that'll probably change the 4-year cycle, right? I'm actually in the camp that the 4-year cycle is not really what moves the market. It doesn't mean that the 4-year cycle is not worth looking at, right? It's just, I just don't know if it's the halving cycles, right? Like Bitcoin and crypto follows the traditional markets, right? So I've done this so many times, but if you just pull the SPY, I'm not going to do it right now, but if you pull the SPY over Bitcoin, they just follow each other, right? So, of course, the 4-year cycle has been, they've rhymed very closely cycle to cycle, but any Bitcoin bull market is, or any S&P bull market is accompanied by a Bitcoin bull market. Any Bitcoin bear market is accompanied by the SPY coming down or stocks coming down. So, at the end of the day, right, like it's hard to say that the halving is the one thing that moves the market, right? I think a lot of people put a little bit too much faith in that. For me personally, I don't ever just put like, if the chart looks really bullish here, right? Here's the difference, right? If the chart looks super bullish, I wouldn't care as much about the 4-year cycle, because if Bitcoin's looking really bullish, the stock market probably looks really bullish, and we can just look for everything to continue up. Because if stocks go up, crypto's probably going to continue up. And if the charts were calling for that, that would just be my bias, right? We can keep an eye on like, hey, the 4-year cycle might be saying it's over, but based off these things, I'm looking higher. But we don't really have that, right? We have the end of the 4-year cycle. Again, if I bring this up, cycle timing is only one of the things that are on this chart that look a little concerning, right? It's the cycle timing, it's the weekly, 2-week, monthly bear divs, it's the money flow looking very similar, and it's the social sentiment being very similar. Now, this doesn't even confirm that it has to be a bear market, but like, it's not just the cycle. I would never, ever, ever just base things just off cycle timing. That's just not how I roll. But it is, when things have repeated so closely in the past, it is something you want to keep in mind, right? But it's not just that. It's like also the chart does not look very good either. If the chart looks super bullish here, stocks look like they were going to rip up. If they just started printing money and the stock market ripped, I would just look at Bitcoin. I would look for Bitcoin to follow that. But until stocks go into a bear market and Bitcoin just like maybe, here, right? If stocks went into a massive bear market and Bitcoin continued up, then we could say, hey, Bitcoin genuinely moves off the halving. I just look at the halving as more of like a narrative. It's just funny that like towards the end of the cycle, the charts start to look very similarly bearish as it did to 2021, right? So I would never just base it on the 4-year cycle. I think the 4-year cycle will eventually change or break. Will this be the cycle? Maybe, right? Every time a cycle goes by, I think it becomes the chances of the cycle changing is going to be higher and higher. Just because as the asset matures, it's going to behave differently, right? So yeah, just one of the things that we pay attention to. If BTC shout out to SJ says, if BTC 40K happens again, I am selling everything I own and putting it all in it. Yeah, shout out to SJ. Again, if we do go into a bear market, guys, I am not calling for Bitcoin to never make a recovery, right? We'll just wait, right? Like you pretty much wait for everyone to be like, this bear market's different, manipulation, it's all over, regulation, whatever, it's going to zero forever. And, that's probably where you'll see, once that starts happening, that's probably where you'll see a bottom come in and a new bull market start. But we'll see. I mean, only time can tell, guys. I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe this time is different. Of course, if they start printing money, this will change. This is one of the big things that were different in this cycle than 2021, right? We had like crazy money printing, like absolutely crazy money printing, right? And you could see just how different that bull market was. It was just screaming to the upside. Here, we had a much different macroeconomic situation, right? Causing this kind of healthy, in my opinion, like very healthy, higher low, higher high structure. And of course, I forgot who said it. Like, could you put in another higher low for another higher high? Sure, I hope that's the case. But I would feel a lot better about that, again, if this money flow was the opposite. Big red wave crossing into the green. I'd feel really, really good. But we just don't have that, right? So hopefully it's a fake out. But it's just not something that I generally not something I generally bet against. Crypto looking piggish. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, what do you think about the government opening back up and printing stimulus checks and its effect on the market? I mean, it could be good for crypto, right? Like the stimulus checks could be good for crypto, right? It's very similar to like what we saw in 2021, right? So again, right, like, if they do genuinely start printing money like crazy, right, like that is going to affect the market. That is where, the 4-year cycle may start to just not hold up anymore, right? I'm definitely in the camp of that, right? I'm not just going to be like, but the 4-year cycle, right? Especially when I know that the Bitcoin just follows the traditional markets in general, right? And just to show that, right, pull up the SPY, right? Very clearly, this follows, right? And if I let me go to the Bitstamp chart real quick. Or no, I am on the Bitstamp chart. Why won't this load all the way back? That is quite annoying. Give me 1 second here, guys. Yeah, I don't know why this won't go back. But obviously, right, like SPY comes down, Bitcoin comes down. SPY in a bull market, Bitcoin in a bull market. Big crash on Bitcoin, big crash on the SPY. Big pump on the SPY, big pump on Bitcoin, right? It's not like daily going to follow exactly, right? Like obviously we've seen stocks creep a little bit higher here as Bitcoin was dumping. But it's not 1-to-1, right? But generally overall, right? If the only way to say the 4-year cycle is what moves the price alone, right? And it's not tied to traditional markets. Like right now, the information and the actual data points towards crypto being tied to traditional markets, right? In order to see that change, we need to see Bitcoin go into a massive bull market as the SPY is in a massive bear market, right? That would make me say, well, hey, maybe the 4-year cycle is what moves the price, right? But it wouldn't happen here. It would happen over here if you're looking for Bitcoin to go up and the stocks and traditional markets to go down, right? That would very likely. It's like if the halving happens, Bitcoin goes into a massive bull market, and the SPY is in a massive bear market. That's never happened, really, right? So until that happens, we have to say that they just track each other. So there you go. But other than that, guys, that is what I am looking at here on Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP. I'll take a quick look at Solana here. Bitcoin now sitting, and still chopping, getting a little pop up here, but we'll see. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the local key levels and macro key levels on Bitcoin and my overall plan here for my trades. But I'll take a quick look at Solana here before we hop out. And Solana, I mean, not too much of an update here, to be quite honest, right? We got inside our value area. We know as long as we remain below this value area high, doorway to the POC remains open. So your next key levels of support down below for Solana are going to be POC, value area low, 141.52 to 133.54. And in order to see any kind of significant sign of strength on Solana, it's like, yeah, you got a lot of work to do here, right? Like, number one, let's get above this value area high at 193.49, right? Like, we're clearly inside this range, right? So unless we get a push up here, flip this value area low to support, get above all these fib levels, we can look higher. Until then, it's very difficult. 3-day money flow coming out, right? Like, even if it's not going to indicate the top of the cycle, right? It's like it's this money flow crossing over regardless is a bearish sign. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? It's like even if the bear market's not going to come, right? Like this money flow coming out is still just at face value a bearish sign for some kind of continuation down, unless it fakes out, which hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. So yeah. But yeah, on Solana, not really too much of an update, right? Like watching this value area low. POC is still the next key level of support. I'll mark this off as a blue box. Again, generally sitting between 141.87 and 133.52. Let me just pull this fib real quick. So yeah, we're tapping the golden pocket. I'm actually going to drag this down to the 786. So if you don't hold this golden pocket, right? If you can't get out of the value area, the next likely place for price to go is the POC, right? Even if you bounce, right? Like you are still going to be expecting that POC to get tapped. If you lose the golden pocket, you're going to be looking down towards the 786, right? If you lose the POC, you're looking down towards the value area low, and those levels are confluent, right? So the biggest zone of support on Solana, if we can't hold this golden pocket, technically you're at support. You're at the golden pocket. Maybe you bounce, right? But again, money flow would have to literally look the opposite for me to say higher low, higher high, right? Is this an area where you could put in the higher low for the higher high? Absolutely. This is, as a matter of fact, the levels that we look at for this. How probable is the higher low? Money flow would say, like, people always ask me, like, how do you know when you bounce off a golden pocket if you're looking for the higher high or not, right? Well, it has to do with money flow. If money flow is opposite here, I'd be saying this is beautiful. We're putting in nice if we're putting in nice confirmations into the golden pocket, money flow is about to cross into the green. It looks really good for a continuation up. We don't have that, right? So, again, the hopium there is that this money flow just completely fakes out, which maybe it does. But, you're at support right now, but you have a lot of work to do here to get the move up. I would feel more comfortable coming down here to the 786 and, trying to catch a retracement. But even if we bounce here, you have a lot of work to do here to really start feeling good. And then we take a look at the 4-day. It's in the green. We take and, I guess you can argue that this is trending out slightly. But your green dot's looking to print, so be aware. You could see turbulence here. You just want to understand, like 5-day money flow is coming out. This is just simply right. Like, what do you have down here before your big move up? Massive red wave crosses into the green. Massive move up. We now have a massive green wave looking to cross into the red. So until that changes, guys, lackluster retracements, even on big pushes, right? Lower highs, lower lows. Those are the key levels I'll be looking at on Solana, and the money flow 6-day coming out. Weekly, yeah, you could argue that's trending out as well. Not as aggressively. But again, these money flow crossovers are not instant signals. So we'll see what happens here, guys. Shout out to Crypto Knight, said crypto trading gives me the munchies. Send it higher or send me a McDonald's application. Shout out to Jency. Let's go. Bitcoin coming in at 103. Yeah, just chopping around down here. So we'll see. Shout out to Bituendo. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate that. Said Bitty starting to pump, guys. Yeah, lower time frames are getting a little bit of a bump there. Come on. 7-minute money flow coming up. 2-hour green dot printing. I believe that is a market cipher B116 strategy, but we'll see if we can actually get that crossover into the green. I will personally, and I'm, again, am totally okay missing this long if we front run that daily, right? Because more often than not, you will come down to tap those levels. I'm totally fine missing that. I'm going to leave that daily down here. Let me pull it up for you guys so you can see it before we sign off. Yeah, holding on for dear life on that anchored VWAP. If we lose that, guys, looking down here between the daily, the golden pocket, and the POCs down here between 102.276 and 101.639. If we come up from here, scroll back to the beginning of the stream. I went over this whole thing. I'm not going to repeat it, just for the people who watched through the whole stream. You know, maybe we can get a bounce there. Maybe we get the bounce from where we're at now. I would prefer to see this level tapped. But again, we got a lot of work to do here. If we do get a push up from here, guys, biggest levels to watch, 104.5. And then full Fibonacci retracement sitting here between 105.5 and 106.376. Once we flip that 786, we can look for a push back into, it's like even that, right? It's like, well, you have your macro value area high up here. Right, so locally, this is what I'd be looking. This is the range I'd be looking at. Full Fibonacci retracement comes in right here. If you can flip that 786, I would look up towards about 108K. Whoops. Right, so you really got to get up above here locally, up above the 786, and then you're going to run into 108K. You still need to flip 108K for the bigger move up, which is your macro value area high. Right. A lot of work to do here. Hopefully we can see it. But I'll keep you guys updated here as the price action develops. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Frankie, if there is a small pump now, what levels would it go before it rejects down again? There you go. I just covered those levels. Watch that local value area high at 104.5. And then again, that 786 is kind of the last level at 106.350. Now, that level will move, right? Like this level will move. If price comes down to, say, the POC or the value area low, right, you're going to have to move this fib, pull it down to wherever that low is, right? But if it comes in, if the low is in right here, which I don't really necessarily feel super confident about, you know, that 786 sits up here. Golden pocket 786, 105.478 to 106.402. Get above that. 108.300 is your value area high. Once you flip that, you can start looking up towards some higher prices, maybe 110 to 111K. But pretty lofty call, you know, from where we are right now. Right, it'd be like a 7% pump up, but we'll see. We're going to be keeping an eye on these levels in the premium Discord, and I will keep you guys updated here every single step of the way. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to Creighton C. Shout out to Base Bailey. Shout out to Servando Estrada, James, Jesse, Tony D. Jesse, get Tony D out of here. I thought we banned that guy. Shout out to Tony D. Scram! I'm just kidding. Shout out to 12 Big. Shout out to Crypto Knight. Shout out to Crypto Paisa. Shout out to Moid. And last but not least, Criminal Mentality. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you tomorrow right here. Same place, same time. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have somewhere I have to be, guys, so no fake out tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag.
Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the